It would. Oh my gosh, I would never do this, but I imagine you just like say some words, shouts every slur I can imagine. Just
Well,
all right,
now
bye.
I should tell you. Now we're actually live.
Awesome.
Well, hello everybody, and welcome to Shin Megami Tensei Network Link 259. I am your sort of tardy host, Spencer Presley. Joining me this week in the Velvet Room is the one, the only. He might finally finish a video by the time this next podcast airs. Ozzy, how's it going?
I'm good. It definitely will not be up by the time this podcast airs.
No, the next podcast, because this is live.
Okay, that's fair.
Next
that's
week,
fair.
I'm giving
Maybe.
you a chance.
Maybe. We'll see.
So everyone,
but I'm good.
Everyone, thank you for being here. Asex Whale, Foxy Ari, everyone in the chat, thank you for being here. I want you to know this is how crazy the world is right now. In the last 7 days, Atlus has had Soul Hackers 2 announced, and the February Persona 25th anniversary smorgasbord.
So basically, one thing has happened.
I know, boy. Let me tell you. So I'll let you pick because you're a special guest, and honestly, I am able to jump into either one you want. Do you want to start with Persona, or do you want to start with Soul Hackers?
You know, I feel like we'll actually have probably a bit more to say about Soul Hackers, so I'm fine with starting off with Persona, just a little appetizer.
Don't even test me. Do you know that I streamed for like an hour and a half by myself, only talking about Rollback?
Okay, listen, Rollback is a pretty major, awesome thing to add. Like, no, people undervalue that.
It definitely is. So if everyone doesn't know, Atlus had previously said that, hey, we will have news for the Persona 25th anniversary in February. And in the most, what are they thinking ever, it was actually the last day of the month. And I'm going to be honest with you. I normally, am not that optimistic about how Atlus is does their things for PR and promotion. Yeah, because it really is kind of all over the place in terms of consistency. But Ozzy, be real with me. Did you actually think it was gonna be the last day?
I thought it was gonna be the last week of the month. On sorry, what was it? A Monday?
By the time it was for us, it was early Monday morning. Okay. It was. Literally, there was less than 6 hours left in Japan by the time they did it.
Okay, I was guessing it'd be a Monday, but I thought it'd be the Monday prior. But yeah, why'd they do that?
So I have a couple of different theories about why they might have done it, and I want to get into the more realistic one, I think, after we talk about it. So for me, the first one is, I think a part of this could have been related to why the Pokemon Gen 9 announcement was so low-key, which was hey, there's a lot going on in the world right now with Russia and Ukraine and all this stuff going on. It's not the most, appropriate to be hey, guys, video games coming soon, come on, check them out.
Keep it low key.
Yeah, so but,
be respectful.
I get that. I definitely get that. But also, that doesn't mean you can't just warn, because at least Pokemon told us, hey, there's a thing coming super early Monday, you know?
Mm.
Whereas Atlus was they didn't even announce that anything was happening. They just became Teddy on Twitter for a few hours, and then were here's some videos.
Yeah. No, on the more speculatory side on this, there probably was something more notable to be announced. Maybe not a game, but just something. But I imagine they were just okay, we already announced Soul Hackers and all this crap's going on. Let's just hold off.
Yeah, so Mirth in the chat brings up a point that I'm definitely in the tinfoil hat camp of whatever was planned this month is not what we saw. So what
they added a new thing to the site, right?
Yes. So originally there were 7 announcements. The first one was basically just saying, hey, we've got announcements in a concert and some anime streaming. Number 2 was Arena Ultimax getting announced in December, and this one technically was the announcement of the Persona 25th Anniversary Festival, which is going to be just a merch pop-up shop in Japan in May. Spoilers, everybody, There's still a travel ban, so that means nothing. I personally think this, and even whether you agree with it or not is up to you. I am like, okay, let's be honest. If we're going to talk about what was more substantially announced in February, is that they finally announced that Ultimax, the port that's coming out in March, is getting rollback. ... multiple asterisks this summer. No hard date. And it's only going to be on PC and PS4. No rollback on Switch. I think that's the bigger news. But for you, how did you feel about the festival? Because the festival for me is like cool. I'm sure there'll be fun pictures. Literally, it doesn't affect me at all.
It affects me because we get more art of all the protagonists in fancy wear, and that's all I need.
Fancy wear.
Enough said. That's it.
Will there be cutlery? Can we buy cutlery based off each game's school logo? That's what I need to know.
Just give me a fork where the handle just has, like, the Q2, like, Koromaru head. Just on the handle.
So, festival thing, I'm sure it'll be fine. I think maybe Twitter made a bigger deal out of it because it was kind of found out early due to an early Twitter account. But, like, for me, I never really thought the... I've always been like, yeah, I know what to expect with that little... the festival thing. So
yeah.
for rollback, yes. If anyone doesn't know, we're not going to get into the super specifics of rollback because again, I did an hour plus video on this. But rollback coming is great.
It can literally like make or break a fighting game like for the long term. Because I think 'cause the friend I was talking to you a lot about, like he's way more into fighting games than me. Mm-hmm. And one thing he cites a lot is I think it was Grand Blue Versus, where that game, I think, came out right before COVID, and did not have rollback yet.
Still doesn't.
And yeah, just period doesn't. And that game plays great. If any of you have played Dungeon Fighter, the new fighting game that's coming for it, it's very similar to that. But this game didn't have rollback, and it basically just murdered it. Just from actually having a consistent community, because playing online without rollback is nope.
So it's great, but there's a couple of like things of like it's keeping me from overly being happy about congratulating it. I don't love that it's not at launch. I think
it should be the standard.
Well, no, like honestly, that's not even like my thing is delay the game because we were talking about this before we went live. Who the fuck is going to play this when all of these other games are out? Like, March is drowning in games. Like, you sent me this list here. Guys, Babylon's Fall. Of course we're not going to play that. I threw that in as a joke. Gran Turismo 7. Huge. Triangle Strategy. Huge. GTA. Coming back again. Huge. Stranger of Paradise. Secret Goaty. Of course Secret Goaty. Ghostwire Tokyo. Kirby and the Forgotten Lands. Tiny Tina Wonderland. Like, all of these games are coming out in March. And then sandwiched in the middle is just... Like, literally... I don't know if you know, like this comes out the day after GTA on Next Gen.
Yeah, I do want to quickly, just as a quick side note, I like the idea that Babylon's Fall is only releasing in March because Platinum sees how many like phenomenal games are going to be dropping in March, and they're like, if we just sneak this in here, will people just buy it because it's part of the lineup?
I think Square Enix like either lost a bet or is doing a like social experiment, because if you notice, Square Enix is releasing I think like 4 or 5 games at once. Like I didn't even mention Chocobo GP.
Yeah,
like they're releasing a ton of games,
and they're really starting with Babylon's Fall. Huh?
Also,
thank you,
Collectible Corner. I'm not the only one who's buying Tiny Tina Wonderlands. Mako Tensei said, "Who's buying Tiny?" Don't sleep on like Borderlands is not a series that got ran into the ground, but like reminder, Borderlands 3 sold like millions of copies. There's a lot of people who like.
It doesn't feel like it did, but it did.
Yeah,
that game feels like it went completely under the radar because of the whole like Epic Games fiasco with it.
I mean, maybe because I didn't care about that at all. Like, I feel like on consoles, it was kind of one of those things of, like, the game had, like, 2 lives for me. Like, coming out in 2019, I was like, oh, this is really cool. And then, like, they actually ported it when next-gen systems came out in 2020, and then being like, oh, cool, it's just better and has more DLC and stuff for it. So, like, I think they did a good job, like, supporting it, but it was definitely one of those things of, you either liked it, or you never touched it or never thought about it, which is totally understandable. But what I wanted to ask you, because obviously both of us are going to be playing or covering in some way, shape, or form Ultimax, but, like, Is it even like top 5 what you're most excited about this month? Because like for me, it's like I am no disrespect to either game. I am a million times more excited to play Kirby than Ultimax again.
Listen, I love Ultimax. I love Persona. P4 is great. This is a fun fighting game. Like, honestly, guys, like, if you like fighting games or just like Persona in general, this is a really good fighting game. On that note, you are completely right, Spencer. And it is a testament to how good this year is for games. But
it's no disrespect to the quality. Like, it's a fantastic game. It's just the problem is the release timing is rough. Like, no one's going to pick this game up again when it comes out in March and be like, whoa, dude, just doesn't hold up. But it is one of those things of, in a conversation, again, we talked about a little before, it's not adding anything new. There's literally nothing new being added to this, especially with, like, no rollback at launch. Like, yes, there's online there, but it's like, don't expect those servers to be slammed. Is all I'm saying.
Also, like, if you're in it for fighting games, there are a lot of really good fighting games releasing this year. Like,
KOF just dropped.
KOF 15 just dropped, and that game's sick. Like I said, DNF is coming. Hopefully, Street Fighter 6 will be good at launch. Hopefully.
Did you see the stuff like Capcom announced about Street Fighter 5 last night? That was a disaster.
Wait, what?
Capcom, in their infinite wisdom of doing everything except fighting games well, announced that if you are running tournaments for Street Fighter 5, you have to have a legal licensing agreement with them to run any size tournament. And there's all of these, like, contracts, stipulations, and rules and stuff from, like, payouts, how you can broadcast it, how you can promote it. When it's, like, comparing it to SNK with, like SNK with KOF. Oh my god, are you hosting a fan tournament here? We'll give you sponsorship money. Please, play our game. Capcom with Street Fighter 5. Don't do this or we're gonna sue you.
Yeah, I find it funny because, like, I would say since, like, 2017-ish, Capcom has been on, like, a huge roll for their games. Like, they've been really good recently.
Yeah, killing it. Look at Ace Attorney, look at Monster Hunter, look at Resident Evil.
Yeah, Resident Evil. The only slip up I can think of is, like, if you were, like, whatever on the RE3 remake. But, like, otherwise, they've been destroying it with just how good everything has been. With the exception, I don't know what is up with fighting games with them. Like, Street Fighter 5, that game had issues at launch and is better now. But it's still Street Fighter 5. So
yeah, it is unfortunately that thing of, like, how much can you really polish a turd? Like, not even really calling, like, Street Fighter 5 a turd, but, like, it's got a lot of baggage. It's got a lot of weight behind it. But, like, so bringing it back to Ultimax a bit, Mirth brings up another great point I wanted to bring up. With not only is there no new content in Ultimax, is we actually found out during I feel like I'm the only one who watched these, by the way. So Atlus released Atlus Japan specifically did 2 videos with basically a bunch of people from the Atlus team and the Arc System Works team playing the game, and they had the producer and the director as well as some people from Arc System Works who worked on the original game to talk about it. One interesting thing that came up was that Wada, the producer, announced that not all of the DLC is there. And I have a bit of an update, because sneaky people who don't listen to the podcast you're getting an exclusive, everybody. Enjoy a sweet Ultimax leak exclusive. There is multiple pieces of missing DLC from this game. Kind of understandable, and then another one that no one has talked about I find insultingly confusing.
Which is that?
First up, there were originally over 40 songs that were available as DLC for Ultimax. They were ranging from Persona 3, Portable, Golden, the animes, the movies for Persona 3, Persona Q. Now, a majority of those are all there, but there's a problem. Not all of them got licensing renewed, or maybe just didn't want to pay the money. Like, so any song from Golden, or any song from Golden the anime, like Next Chance to Move On, or any of these songs from the Persona 3 movie, like the special remixes of, like, Burn My Dread, or any of those tracks that Aniplex had any association with, none of those are in the game. at all, and really sucks just because, like, obviously a track missing from a fighting game isn't that big of a deal, but, like, I specifically have a chip on my shoulder for Next Chance to Move On not being there, because that is literally one of my favorite songs. And
Yeah.
it really, really sucks, but I know, again, it is not that big of a deal in the long run. The one that I do find weird, and that this is going to get no coverage at all, and very few people will probably even remember, but Persona 4 Arena Ultimax had very specific DLC. So, in its challenge mode, oh yeah, RIP to Dazzling Smile as well. In the training mode, there's a thing called challenge mode, where each character has either 25 or 30 movesets you can master. And the final moveset was always the hardest, and what Atlus did, in all of their infinite wisdom, was if you didn't want to learn how to do the final move, you could always do a demonstration, unless it was the final one. And if you click on it, it would, like, pop up little things that says, no cheating, nope, gotta learn it, get good. Like, literally, all these little things just being like, we're not gonna show you how to do this, you have to learn how to do this, or go to YouTube and look it up yourself. But
Yeah.
they literally sold DLC showing you how to do those final moves. That DLC is not in this game. So they just have a little thing that still is making fun of you for not knowing how to get 6,000 damage with the Dachi, and it won't demonstrate it for you. And I'm like,
I actually like that more. I think that's hilarious.
That's funny, but it's also like, literally, why not include it? Like, because that to me is like, it wasn't purposefully not there. It literally was just like, someone was like, should we include it? And they're like, it's fine. No one's gonna do it. Like, I guarantee you that will get patched in at some point this year. There's no way they leave it like that.
Kieran Buckley asked in the chat, what are your sales expectations for P4AU?
Well, Kieran, thank you so much, by the way, for the super chat. I extra appreciate it. But sales expectations are tough. The original Ultimax, yeah, as you mentioned, that was not a big seller. It released at a busy time. It released post PS4 and Xbox and was not on those systems, so that hurt it a lot. I think it's got there's a couple of things that Ultimax has in its favor. I think we can all agree on. $30 is a steal. $30 is a really, really good price for all of you're getting. You're getting 2 full, very long story modes. You're getting all the characters, all the colors, all the glasses DLC. Like, there's a lot of stuff there, and I think value-wise, it's a really good deal. Will people buy it at launch, though, is the question. Like, for me, I think this will be lucky to break 100,000 in its first month.
I don't know, because another thing to note is Persona games, like, Persona on Switch and Steam, even if it's just something like this, I feel like at least will get some eyes on it and get people, like, at least willing to check it out in that sense. Because, like, Switch still has its whole thing of everything.
It'll have legs that'll help it a lot. I think if Atlus is smart and tries doing community tournaments, I think that'll help. If there's any show of it at EVO, I think that would be really, really cool. Like, if there's any, like, side tournaments, like, anything that gets this game more actively put out there, I think will really, really help. But, like, honestly, for me, due to its limited way of being sold, it releasing in a busy month, it's just a really small market for who's going to jump in on this. And even with it being on Switch is a big deal.
Digital only might hurt.
Honestly, I think what hurts it more than the amount of people I've heard who want to play it, but are like, I haven't played P4. Why would I play this?
I think Steam kind of has to be the one carrying it here.
Well, Steam and PlayStation. PlayStation, obviously, you have the lineage there, so PlayStation's going to have a big one. There's a huge fighting game fan base there in terms of playing it all. Atlus is promoting the PlayStation 1 a lot harder in Japan compared to the Switch version. So, and also, another thing we found out from the stream that conveniently no one's talking about, even though I got roasted for nothing, we still don't know if there's multiplayer lobbies on the Switch. Because even on that Japanese-only stream, they re-emphasized lobby characters are only on the PlayStation version.
Yeah, I don't... There's a lot about the Switch version that feels very elusive. So I hope it turns out fine. We'll see.
Yeah, it's tough. I don't think they're like... I think Atlus is at least smart. I think out of all the mistakes they've done with Ultimax leading into its release, I think they know that this was not meant to be a big seller. And another one, going back to the rollback announcement, they literally had the director producer, like, Wada filmed a 1-minute video announcing rollback is coming like he was in a hostage video. Like, he literally, like, just came out and be like, guys, we hear you. We're adding in rollback. We'll do it as quickly as we can. Like what that says to me is, holy fuck, nobody is pre-ordering this game. There's no hype. Only people talking about it are people complaining about it, and the hardcore fans won't be enough to make this up.
I think at this point they have, whether they realize before or realize now, it definitely feels like this game is very low to the ground, where you're only going to care about this game if you were going to care about this game to begin with, like, actively. Mm-hmm. So it's just kind of in this little bubble, which is why they're like, okay, let's just... Here, the announcement for the day is the fact that this game exists, and also we're just going to throw the rollback thing in there, because why not? That'll satiate their hunger, maybe.
It's also tough, too, because, like, for me, I look at this, and... It's just so tough because... I'm glad they gave in and they're doing it, but, like, the timeline for everything just makes them look really bad. Like, I remember someone was like, oh, this was always the plan. Like, they were always going to do this anyways. Like, no one announces a game in December and then 1 month before release says, hey, you know that feature we said we're not including? Just kidding, we're going to include it anyways. Please buy this game. Because, like, I don't know if you remember, but do you remember... what Wada said, like, literally a couple of weeks
It was
after,
literally like, if the game sells well, right?
And he was like, oh god, no one's gonna buy it if we don't include it. Like, because, like, what I think is kind of fucked is, like, the notion that announcing it means people will buy it now, I think is kind of scummy. Like, that's like buying a game and being told, hey guys, we'll make it good this summer. Like, obviously, there's tons of content in Ultimax. Like, not saying that online is make or break it for everybody, but for a lot of people, they will never touch the story. They will never touch arcade mode. They are there to play it online, and they want to play with their friends. Like, I think that's a huge factor. I will say, though, again, going back to things of praising about it, Ultimax has a lot to offer. The story mode is horrendously long. It's got a ton of features from arcade mode, score attack, and Golden Arena, if you've never played it, is just, they made fighting the same kind of battle into a bunch of really deep RPG mechanics that may not be everybody's cup of tea, but if you're someone who, like, looks at something like, even like KOF, for example, which is a modern fighting game that had a lot of characters, that launched with very little single-player content. This game almost has the opposite problem of it feels overly single-player content, and then the online stuff feels like you wish they did a little bit more.
Now, again, guys, like, if you have any interest in this game, for whether the actual gameplay or the story, you're gonna be set if you get it. It's a good time.
But then,
don't go broke this month, though. Shouldn't
the worry then be... My thing was, I'm glad you announced rollback, but if you weren't going to buy it without rollback, why would you buy it at launch when it's full price, still won't have rollback, and it will probably be on sale when they do eventually have rollback?
Yeah. I don't know.
So they're really stuck in a rock and a hard place where I think, like, they're really only going to be able to get those fans day one. Because even if you're someone who loved Ultimax, I sure hope you have no interest in any other video games that have released recently. Because, like, honestly, even where I'm at now, February was a amazing month for games. Like, March is just now overkill.
Yeah, March going into April is just like a bombardment.
I'm so sad I forgot their name, but you'd get a kick out of this, Ozzy. Somebody literally, like, told me on, like, the podcast, they were like, I canceled my original plans to get Ultimax just so I could get Lego Star Wars. And I'm like, I can't disagree. I can't disagree with that decision.
That's such a good decision! That's brilliant.
So, I want to catch up a little bit with the comments here. Mirth says, another question. Will the physical Asian version in China have English sub or dub support? They said they know the Japanese copy doesn't. So right now, we actually still don't know what's on the disc. Atlus Japan isn't going to advertise it one way or the other, because if they advertise it has English copies, then not nobody. It will take a significant chunk of people away from the Western version, making that one look like a failure. So
yeah,
We just kind of
At
got
the
to
very
wait and
least, we
see.
know the Western release has dual audio, but that's about it.
Yeah, so I'm picking up both of the Japanese versions. There's no way it'll be in the Asian version and not the Japanese version. So like
Mhm.
the only difference with that is the Asian version will have simplified Chinese and Korean, but besides that, if they include and what's weird is like they'd have to go out of their way to not have it. Like, because there's nothing like they had to wait for. This is all just text files from a 8-year-old game. So.
Yeah.
We're doing that. Another one. Quick question: do I need a Japanese PSN account to play the physical one online? No, since all the DLC's on the cart, everything would come with updates. So you can just play your normal one. You'll still get English trophies. You'll still get everything else. There'll be no detriment to playing the physical one, unless obviously that's not there. But yeah, your PSN and everything will still be good and everything else like that. But yeah, so announcements this month. It's weird. They were either neutral or not enough, even though, like, what should be in there was, like, cool. Because I'm not mad about it. Like, I think, like, they obviously could have handled it better. But, like, for what they did, that's fine. Like, I'm in this camp where I'm like, dude, I don't need you to release any other games this year, Atlus. And I'm fine. Just because, like, we're just kind of, like, drowning in stuff to play. But like for you, Ozzy, like what was your like if you had to think of an overall takeaway from just the Persona stuff this week? Like how did you overall feel about it once it was all said and done?
You know, I tweeted something out that made a lot of people very understanding, and also a lot of people get very mad at me saying either I was overly defensive of Atlus or overly critical of Atlus at the same time, which was temper your expectations. We're not getting a game reveal most likely. Just ease them up. And it was basically exactly what I expected. Maybe a little less of anything. But yeah, no. I was just like, okay. See you in April.
Well, remember, also, you're an Atlus shill. If you don't say nice things about Atlus, you're gonna... hold on, the money truck will be backing up soon with our unlimited copies of Magic Sand and Ultimax for us all to play.
Okay. Spencer, I want to know. I'm gonna be vague about it. The thing you saw me tweet out on my private, right?
Yes.
The fact that was the day of. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, much like Mako says, very brave of you, Ozzy.
Exactly.
You're really doing the Lord's work here. Also, yeah, Mirth, sorry if I confused it. Your physical copy will still get updates. Obviously, if there was DLC, they're not going to make DLC for this, at least that we know of. If it was DLC, you'd be screwed, but in terms of updates, you'll still get all the updates and everything else like normal, so you won't have any difference there at all. So
this game is not getting DLC.
I mean, they've done weirder stuff.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, I can see them maybe being like, we got the license back, buy our songs, but...
Oh, I'm mad because I would. Damn, I don't like that. That makes me feel yucky. But yeah, so yeah. You bring up a great point, and an interesting pivot Atlus did that I still think not enough people are playing, or not enough people are talking about. This month was such a fuck-up that they had to add a new month of announcements for the 25th anniversary.
Yeah. And I can at least respect the semi-transparency of that, of they're like, okay, our bad, here's another one just to tide you over. But yeah, listen, we got Persona cookies. What else are you asking for, guys?
I'll say this. If they had said at the beginning of the month, or even the halfway point, there's no announcement this month, and we're going to have to do it in April, please understand, and then the last day of the month announced rollback, I think the perception would have been a lot more positive.
Yeah. But that's not what happened.
I know, but it's also like no one's like, because like the funny thing is, even if people are mad, my initial thing is just this. It goes, okay, what are you like looking for right now from Atlus? Because like even taking the Soul Hackers thing out of it, I don't know anyone right now who has like nothing they want to play.
Yeah.
It's like we're that all of us right now. We're collectively that picture of Sabrina the Teenage Witch with all the food, and we just don't know which plate to eat first. That's all we are right now.
Yeah, basically.
Oh, Harrison Whaley brings up a great point. Sonic failed their announcement a month or so ago, and it isn't that bad. I will say this: I go into every Sonic announcement thinking, whatever I think could
Train
possibly
wreck.
go wrong, it's gonna go worse somehow. Like I had this like almost like a fever dream moment. Honestly, I woke up like a week ago, and I don't even know why. And I just thought, where the fuck is the Sonic Origins collection they announced like 2 years ago?
Oh my gosh.
I forgot all about that game.
That is kind of a fever dream moment. Oh gosh.
Yeah, so
What did they do?
it's yeah, whatever is going on for because what's funny is like it's not like it's all doom and gloom, because as we're going to talk about Soul Hackers after this, that is the epitome of handling it perfectly. They handled Soul Hackers, they gave us just enough leadway, they gave us just enough time without actually telling us anything, and the payoff was substantial.
The fact that that game was not leaked in any way is, like, astounding.
Amazing.
Like, it was literally just 4 days prior, they were like, haha, Soul Hackers something. And then people were like, mobile game? There's no way it's a sequel.
NFTs,
and then
NFTs, let's go.
Yes! Soul Hackers NFTs would honestly be, like, the ultimate form of irony.
So, the last thing I want to say, I want to get some predictions for us before we pivot to Soul Hackers. For April, what do you think they'll announce, and what do you want them to announce? Now that we've seen like the gamut for, because like, I told people this on Monday. If you're mad at Atlus for how the anniversary has been, you're more than welcome to at this point. There have been 3 pretty weak starts. Like you're now allowed to be like pessimistic without being an asshole. Like they've not done anything to show you that like, hey, this is going to be great. So with everything now. Like,
real quick, it's kind of
fourth one?
Well, because real quick, I was gonna say it's kind of straddling a line for me where you can be as critical as you want towards Atlus. Like that's totally valid. Like go for it. At the same time, I don't blame anyone for being disappointed, but in my mind, I'm like, I know Atlus well enough to where I wasn't expecting more. Like by this point, like it was already a fool me twice moment. I was not gonna get fooled a third time. I was like, I know Atlus. We're not getting anything substantial, guys. Just ease up.
Battered wife.
So on that note, for April, I feel like we are finally going to get something. Just something. I don't know if it's going to be a game. It's just going to be something. It could be an anime. It could be a freaking, like, more notable merch line that'll actually have something in the West. I don't know. Just something. I feel like finally we've reached that edge where we're far enough into the year where things have to be able to be sold by Christmas by the time you're starting to, like, reveal them. Something. That's all I'm saying. I want my P1 remake at some point. That's all I'm clinging on to.
Until you finally do your video for them to announce they're re-releasing P1. That's really what's happening.
Okay, listen. As someone who people were saying was being, like, overly cynical about this announcement, in my mind, I was, like, hoping and praying. I'm like, please announce a Persona 1 remake, so once this video drops, I'm, like, friggin' drowning in the algorithm or something. That's what I wanted. It wasn't gonna happen, but I wanted it.
So, oh man, for me that's tough, because, like, yeah, I'm at the point where I'm like, dude, I got Lego Star Wars in April, I'm good, I don't need anything.
Yeah.
But
I'm not begging for anything, but I feel like
I think they would have to really be drinking the dum-dum juice if they didn't know that they have to announce a game at this point. So my guess is that this is where they finally announce some port that will be a little bit more universally, like, appreciated or hyped for. That said, I know, like, obviously it just makes the most sense for them just to finally do P4 and 3. I'm gonna pivot though. Where I bet it's either going to be something way bigger than that, and they finally do something like P5 on Switch, or it's even more hilarious than Ultimax, and they port the Dancing Trilogy to all systems.
That would be beautiful. See, what I want is give me a reprint of Persona Q2, not a port. Give me a reprint.
Well, you know what's fucked up about that is actually when Nintendo announced the eShops were closing for 3DS and Wii U, most people didn't know this, but it's actually now you can't. Like, Nintendo actually shut off physical manufacturing for both. So all physical 3DS and Wii U games, unless you had already submitted an order for more, you can't do it.
You know, I know it's not 1-to-1, but it does feel the same to me. The people who thought that we were getting a game announcement during the February thing feel like the same people were like, no, Nintendo said that the 3DS was going to live side by side with the Switch. What are you talking about?
Dude, I saw somebody, like, post about, oh man, do you remember when we had to, like, live in a world of the Switch was out, but 3DS was still getting games? How terrible that was. And I'm like, are you all aware that nobody bought those games? Like, all of those, like, all post-Switch era 3DS games, no one ever cared about. Including PQ, including Metroid Samus Returns. Like, it was just a bunch of niche games we all would have loved on Switch, but obviously, like, it was too late to turn back.
The only ones that sold anything, I believe Epic Yarn and the Luigi's Mansion remake sold better than expected, from what I know.
Those are low bars. Also, I'm still mad Epic Yarn not on Switch. That's a great game.
Yeah, it'll happen. That's another inevitability. The Switch is like the Ultra console where they just bring everything to it because they know everyone's already buying it.
So,
yeah.
I told you at the beginning of the show, everybody, we have some breaking news.
Ooh.
And I'm just confirming now that and this is not crazy breaking news, this is Spencer freaking out breaking news.
Mm-hmm.
As of right now, we finally have a pre-order link for Soul Hackers 2 in the West. Now, this is important for a couple of reasons. This game was announced last Monday, over a week ago at this point of where you're all hearing this. And there's been no pre-order discussion. There's been no discussion on the Western Collector's Edition, if we'll have one at all. Mm-hmm. And Video Games New York, literally right when we started this podcast, just dropped pre-orders for the PS4 version, PS5, and the Xbox version in the West.
Awesome.
Which I really hope means we're finally going to hear about the Collector's Edition this week. But my guess is this of, like... Honestly, this is going to sound dumb, but like, just hold back. I hope this gets a Collector's Edition, but if I had to pick, like, one or the other, Monkey's Finger, I would rather have a physical Xbox version of this game, because it would be so fucking insane to have a physical version of this game.
That would be nuts. I kind of want to ask something related to it before we get more into it. Mm-hmm. Do you think that, because obviously it's the Persona 25th anniversary fiasco, like, we might get more, like, substantial stuff coming, but do you think that Soul Hackers 2 is Atlus's, like, big game of the year? Or do you think that's something...
100%. 100%.
And I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
I think this game looks awesome. I think it is going to be tragic if suddenly the marketing push for this game, like, tanks. But so far, I feel like they've done a good job for something that people were not expecting, and most people did not even know was a thing.
No, yeah, definitely. And catching up in case, because we haven't actually had a real podcast episode, because we had to turn into the Monarch Network for a week here.
Of course.
To catch everybody up, Atlus did a countdown for something Soul Hackers related. We found out that it was Soul Hackers 2. It is being worked on by the director, scenario writer, and producers of Tokyo Mirage Sessions, and this is just straight up... Also Strange Journey. This is just straight
I feel like that's notable because people get very judgmental
not
when they see TMS.
Podcast. Only TMS fans.
Awesome.
So, I'm going to say... No, I'm going to say... So the things to know about it. Coming out on everything but Switch. Coming out on PS4, PS5... I fucked this up last time. PC, Xbox One, Xbox Series S, Xbox Series X, and also Windows and Steam separately. Maybe Game Pass. Come on, Uncle Phil. You know what to do. But coming out August, worldwide, big deal. All those platforms, big new team, big new series, bringing back Soul Hackers for its 25th anniversary, because this is apparently the year of JRPG anniversaries. So I've talked about it a bunch. I've done multiple videos now on the channel, breaking down it live, and then talking about other facts from where's the Switch version rationally, and just like what does this really mean, breaking down everything we have. But I honestly want to know, because I've talked about it with you a little bit. As someone who is not a Soul Hacker themselves, Ozzy, casual Persona fan here, how did you feel about Soul Hackers 2 getting announced? How do you feel it looks? And then where are you at now a week from the hype?
So I finally did buy Soul Hackers when I think it was the holiday sale they had on 3DS, like right before, the 3DS eShop died. I still need to get around to it. I know a good bit about it. I just need to actually sit down and play it. Seeing this come out of nowhere, I think this game looks phenomenal. I know a lot of people specifically, initially I feel like this wasn't the issue, and then they saw it and pointed out more. I hope the gameplay is a little more different from P5 than what they make it sound like. I feel like it will be. But otherwise, I think this looks really cool and unique. I'm glad they're bringing back something like Soul Hackers, because people complain a lot that all of the Mega 10 franchises is just like, okay, they're just going to milk Persona, and then maybe we'll get like a major SMT out of the way. Because they haven't really done a lot of spin-off stuff in the last 10 years. Mm-hmm. Outside of those. But I think this is sick. I hope it leads more into Atlus making more bangers. Gimme. I want it. Take my money.
So,
yes.
Little heads up. I didn't know you'd recently bought it. So, as a reminder to everybody, I'm going to do a poll, mostly just kind of looking at release timing, because right now, this month is just insane. Sometime I'm thinking either April or May, we're going to do a group playthrough so we can all motivate each other to either replay the game, because it's been almost a decade since the 3DS version.
It's like a book club?
Yeah, exactly. So it'll be like a book club / game club where we'll just, hey, we're going to play this game this month. Make sure you beat it by this month, and then we're all just going to talk about it. As similar to
that's actually a good idea.
Similar like with Strikers when that went on PS Plus, to kind of remind everybody, which will be a good one because it'll help familiarize people with the world of Soul Hackers. A lot of people didn't really buy Soul Hackers, especially in the West. It definitely underperformed. So
yeah.
That'll be fun. I'm really excited. I rebooted up my 3DS. I checked out a whole bunch of stuff and popped in my cartridge. I am amazed. I forgot how good that actually still looks, because it's just a bunch of up-resed 2D assets. That game still looks really, really good, and I forgot how much of it is voice acted. They did a lot of
that game was
acting.
on the Saturn, right?
Yeah, Saturn originally. Still cannot believe that was 25 years ago. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So, if you're interested, make sure you hang around here so we can all bully each other into playing Soul Hackers and hopefully learn to love it. But again, I'm going to say this for the next 5+ months, I'm sure. If you do not have a 3DS, if you don't want to play Soul Hackers 1, that is totally fine. You don't need to play it for 2. They are completely separate experiences story-wise. There's just references and Easter eggs and similar characters and demons, but it's not a mandatory thing. Similarly,
it's not like a Neo World Ends With You situation.
Honestly, I feel now I haven't played Neo, but I've heard that you don't need it, but it's just it relies on it, but it's not pivotal.
I've heard it's not pivotal, but it's highly recommended.
Who's this?
You could enjoy it without it, but there are also people that say that playing P5 Strikers, original P5, isn't pivotal, and I'm I guess you're technically right, but that's not a way to live.
I'm gonna be honest, if your only experience of the world of Persona 5 is Strikers, you're just gonna think, wow, these guys are really well-written, fleshed-out characters. I can't wait to see how they all met each other at the beginning. Oh, they're not like that at all in the last game.
Listen, that's a low blow.
At least not right away. You're catching them at their best.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, but the Soul Hackers thing has been really interesting. It was a countdown that really paid off. Universally, I would say, way more praise than I've seen criticism. The few bits of people out there who have been not a fan of it, I'm looking for someone who's I have a problem with it because of XYZ, when a lot of it, the complaints are, ew, I don't like their last game, ew, Atlus, or ew, anime, which then I just laugh at and just go, okay, cool, why do you care about this at all anyways, then?
I honestly have not heard... I think the only criticisms I've heard, genuinely are ew to anime, or quote-unquote generic anime, because the word generic, I feel has lost all meaning, honestly. Or ew, Persona 5. That's it.
See, I don't know.
Like
Maybe I'm like dumb brain, but like I never once looked at the battle system for Soul Hackers 2 and like got P5 vibes, just in the sense of like that's like being like, oh my gosh, it's a game in Tokyo where they eat in the room together. That's total Persona 5 vibes.
Well, because the way they've described it, it basically kind of sounds like the One More system in P5, and like how it has like the baton passes and all-out attacks. But I also feel like there's a lot more they've shown that they haven't really gone over that will probably make it a much more distinct experience. And then people also talk about how instead of having the demons by your side, you summon them like a quote-unquote persona. Even though, guys, in Rhino, that was already how devil summoning was done. It's just now in a turn-based format. This isn't P5 now. This is just Devil Summoner.
Spoilers: you summon demons as devil. That's
the thing. They're like, people are like, you don't even summon demons anymore. I'm like, you literally do. That's the feature you're complaining about. Before you didn't. Before you like pre-summoned them, and then they're just with you.
By the way, Gigangus brings up a great point. If you are a fan of banger music, Monica working on the soundtrack is an instant sell for me.
Oh, sick!
Anyway.
I didn't even know about that.
Yeah, Monica working on it is really great, unless you're a Doki Doki Literature Club fan. But all you near heads out there, like, I mean, honestly, like, we've only really heard like 3 tracks from everything so far. But what was nice about it is it was really just like a 2.5 minute long trailer. But for once, as someone who watched the entire Japanese live stream for it, that Japanese live stream covered a lot, as well as there've been a couple interviews with the team working on it in terms of, hey, this is really, really a big game for us. That's why actually the producer and director are 2 people. It's not we're splitting up. I'm the producer, he's the director. No, like they're filling as many shoes as they can, because like on their own scale they've said this is a bigger game than Tokyo Mirage Sessions was, and TMS for them was so big. They said if we ever did a game of this size or bigger again, we would have to give each other more like responsibilities and like divvy up the roles, because it's just like it's so much to do. And kind of going back to the battle system, one of the things that makes me honestly not really think that it's going to be, obviously, like, they've shown very little of it compared to what they've talked about. In the Sabbath system, I think that team has done so much great work. Like, the battle system has such a fun, fast flow in Tokyo Mirage Sessions that, like, I just can't imagine they're just going to make P5 light or even P5 adjacent. Just because that team, they always do such a great job of making it feel very distinct. And I think in a game that's like this colorful and this lively looking, I think it would be such a disservice for it to just be this, like, I think there's a lot that could be hiding there that we haven't really seen. Like, if you look at some of the menus, you can have multiple demons summoned to each character ready to go at a time at a party. I think it'd be really fun to start juggling more, hey, here's your main cast of 4 characters you're playing as the whole time, but also you can change up all of their demons and how that flows into combat. And then, like, even the all-out attack thing, it's not actually like an all-out attack like you would normally do. It's like you're summoning all of your demons to do an all-out attack and stuff like that.
Yeah. I'm really excited for this game. Like, I feel like you kind of noted with, like, TMS and the gameplay there. Most people who are pointing at it is like, they made TMS bad, kill it. I'm like, I don't normally, like, make the statement of, like, oh, you say this, you haven't even played it. But really, I'm pretty sure most people pointing out the TMS quote-unquote issue have not played that game. Because that game has issues. The gameplay is not one of them.
100%. The gameplay is, I would say it's its saving grace, but I love a lot more about it. But
like,
that is its
I still haven't beaten it, but I haven't beaten TMS, but, like, I have not heard anyone who's beaten that game say that the gameplay is anything less than fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, like, it's coming from a team that has a lot of great work. They've had a lot of really, like, good things kind of going from them. They've clearly been really inspired by the original, even if you don't look at this game and think, hey, this doesn't look like Soul Hackers 1. Like, a very similar thing can go, I'm not looking for Final Fantasy 13 to look like Final Fantasy 7. I'm not looking for even Shin Megami Tensei 1 to look like Shin Megami Tensei 5. Like, if there was as much of a break between Persona 2 and Persona 5, people would be saying the exact same thing.
Yeah, I don't... I understand the basis of the argument. I just think it comes off very shallow and misunderstanding of kind of the creative process. Like, they're not just gonna make 3D Kaneko. Like, he's gone. Let him do his own thing.
He's been gone too for a long time. Like, so it's like,
yeah, like
I mean, it's also one of those things where it's like, hey, if you're just someone who like looks at things like, I don't like Doi's work, or I don't like Sojima's work, and I don't like whatever, like, cool. There's a lot of other games out there for you to enjoy, like, because it's like I know that like there's a lot, like, I've never personally myself, as much as I've been into this franchise, I have never tied everything back to Kaneko in terms of just like he's the be all end all like artistic visionary. Like, it's different for
he
different
is
series.
not
Like,
Megami Tensei.
well, like, no, like I think a really good comparison is like, let's look at Akira Toriyama with Dragon Quest. If they made Dragon Quest 12 look hyper realistic and lost that edge, I would understand that being a big deal. Whereas, like, it was never only him. It was never only one art style. It was him for very much in the early days, but, like, I think especially over the last, like, 20 plus years, we've seen so many different artists go and come and do different aspects to each of the different games. It's never just a one-man kind of job.
Yeah. Like, I don't know.
Oh, Persona Lady says, great point. People bringing up, like, oh, it's not cyberpunk enough anymore. Like, the original game is, yeah, cyberpunk for that era of what cyberpunk was. Like, we're now in an era where, like, yeah, cyberpunk now is kind of more bright lights, flashy. Like you're not looking at Cyberpunk 2077 and expecting the Matrix.
I was going to point out that exactly. Honestly, the difference between Soul Hackers 1 to Soul Hackers 2, to me, feels like the difference between Blade Runner and Blade Runner 2049. Like, where it's very much following that trend of, like, taking a more modern outlook, but kind of, like, following up the original in how we adapt this. But it's, you know, further into the future, kind of following that aesthetic, but making something new out of it. It doesn't have to be one-to-one. It's just... it gives us something new while giving us something reminiscent.
And I think another big one as well has to be looking at it of, like, we've still seen very, very little overall. We still have a lot that still could be shown. We still have a lot of things that, like, we're going to find as we progress through everything. So I think the fact that the reception to its reveal and its showcase showed so much, we still have so many other questions, is a good sign. We just kind of got to wait and see. And so, again, kind of going back to the whole Persona thing. Hey, if you get disappointed that Persona's 25th anniversary is kind of ended with a dud, at least look at this and be like, hey, if you like Atlus games in general, you're probably going to like this.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Like, I especially think, like, I know not everyone is on the train we are with SMT5 in terms of gameplay. They're wrong. No, but, like, the last few major Atlus games have been easily some of the best just RPGs in general in terms of gameplay, for at least turn-based. Because, like, whether it's TMS, P5 Royal, like, SMT5, like, these are fantastic games, like, in terms of the gameplay mechanics they give you. So I'm really excited to see how Soul Hackers 2 does it.
Now, Ozzy, are you ready for a very rough and tough question?
Oh, I'm so ready.
What platform are you playing this bad boy on?
PS5.
The correct answer.
Yeah.
So
though Xbox would be funny, but PS5.
I'm just glad. I'm like when I look at the Xbox version of Soul Hackers, I just think it would just be like, I'm just glad I got invited. I'm just glad I'm here for the ride. I don't even care if anyone talks to me.
You know, I'll give respect to Xbox though, because when I made like a tweet that I don't know why it exploded so much, like defending Soul Hackers 2, like the day it was announced, the most consistent like criteria of people who were praising the game were Xbox fans who were like, finally an Atlus game that I can really get into. And I'm like, I am so happy for you guys. Like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't know there were this many of you, but maybe release more RPGs on Xbox so they can actually grow that, like, culture, like, cultivate it.
They've been hungry. They've been hungry for a while, and I can't blame them. But we got a couple of potentially harder questions here. But first one comes from Facebook. This one's by Luis Perez, who says, do you think the Kuzunoha clan will make an appearance in Soul Hackers 2, or do you think Soul Hackers 2 is so far removed from Devil Summoners that it's not even going to include the clan?
You know, maybe it's like a cameo. I can think, but I don't know.
I think
Maybe not past that.
yes. I don't know if directly, but like I've had since reveal this thing in the back of my gut that's like, if they are even remotely savvy, and SMT5 has shown them to definitely be a lot more savvy in this department, they would be so evil smart to include as many references to the original three Devil Summoners, at like whether it be in the base game or even if they wanted to make a lot of money and do DLC. Because I'm like,
Hmm.
just having like a sub side quest for each of the Devil Summoners of like having to track them down or find them or fight them and recruit them,
That would be cool.
it would be really, really fun. I think they could do a lot of stuff for it. In terms of the base game, I can't imagine it having any real effect on the story.
Uh, Spencer, can we have it in Soul Hackers 2 where after you've beaten the game and after the credits, they just pull a friggin' Travis Strikes Back and we just get a tech demo for Raido 3?
That would. I would only allow it if it wasn't even made by Atlus. Because I'm at the point now where if Raido ever comes back, I'm like, no team at Atlus has the confidence to make it.
You know, I was gonna say a Raido game by Platinum would be awesome, but then again, I'm giving a very exasperated
From the
stare
team who brought you Babylon's
Babylon's
Fall
Fall. Yeah, no.
comes Rhino 3.
Please, no.
Another question we have is by Topik, who says, is Soul Hackers 2 going to be censored at all on the PlayStation version? So obviously, censoring has been a big thing recently with PlayStation, with like the whole Martha's Dead thing and obviously all the other things they've had censored. For you, though, do you think there's anything... Because, like, for me, Atlus games have never been really censored, even in cases where we thought they might, like Catherine Full Body. But, like,
I mean,
I just can't imagine anything in this game needing to be censored.
is there gonna be a scene where we're like cutting off Ringo's face or something, or
The
are we...
DLC, man, could get crazy.
Oh gosh, yeah, no, I doubt anything will be censored. Like that was more of an issue, like I'd say in the earlier 2010s for like a lot of JRPGs. I don't see it being a big issue now, but I don't know, maybe.
It's
I doubt
tough because it's still a thing. Censorship with PlayStation is still much bigger of an issue than it should be compared to other developers and things for it. But I would say even if it was a game that might have to get censored, Atlus has enough sway with PlayStation that they could get past it. Whereas like smaller publishers or developers who just have to suck it up and change their game like that's where there'd be an issue. Chiaki in the chat says, didn't they have to alter dialogue in Royal? That was specifically an Atlus West decision. Yeah. This dialogue is the exact same in Royal in Japan, so that was nothing from Sony. That was just Atlus West trying to appease and change the dialogue, which was hilarious because they didn't appease anybody and no one liked it.
That was also a thing where in the vanilla release it was the same, so like if Sony would have censored it then if it was an issue. Yeah.
Now, here I at least do want to say this. I think there's a lot of interesting things about it in terms of the story, though, that could lead to darker things, not necessarily meaning it might have to get censored. I'm really, really impressed by its leaning a lot harder into trying to be more adult. This is not a game about children. There's death. It is, like, violence and stuff is involved. So I hope it really leans into that and finally feels like a mature game now that it is, like, an all-adult cast. So my hope is that, like, we get into darker things. Because I would like to end this year saying that Monarch is not my darkest JRPG I've played of the year.
I want to be sad this year.
I do. I don't want to smile anymore. Smiling is overrated.
Listen, if you want your heartfelt but sad adult JRPG of the year, play Stranger of Paradise, and hopefully Soul Hackers too. But otherwise, Stranger of Paradise.
God, I have so many thoughts about this now.
Not to go on a full tangent about Stranger of Paradise, but I love from what we've seen how that game seems like it's mixing an actual serious tone with just pure, like, self-aware stupidity in, like, the isekai aspect of it. I think that looks awesome.
I'm so excited to play that game.
I'm
awesome. The opposite of Babylon's Fall hype for that one. That one I'm like, please give that game to me.
I hope that game does well, because the more stuff like Final Fantasy does like that, the better. Please.
So, next question is from Twitter. This one's by Cherry Papa Ninja. Says, with Soul Hackers getting a sequel, which series do you want, or which series do you think would get a revival next? Like a Devil Survivor, another Raito? Also, since they dropped SMT and Devil Summoner from Soul Hackers 2, what do you think they would name Raito's next game? I'm going to be honest, if they do another Raito, they have to keep his name hilariously long. So you have to call it Shin Megami Tensei Presents Devil Summoner 3, Raito Kuzunoha the 14th versus the incredibly long Bad Day, exclusively streaming on Peacock.
That would be beautiful.
But Ozzy, what spin-off sequel do you want to come back?
I think it is a good time, like, because if they're really bringing back a lot of old things and giving them like a really nice polish, I feel like Devil Survivor is probably their best bet to get something that's really going to stand out.
Well, God knows they're never going to get you to play the series otherwise.
Listen, that's a freaking good series. I still need to finish one. I really like that game. That's my thoughts with a lot of Atlus games. I'm like, man, I love this game. I need to go back and finish it. Give me Devil Survivor 3, please.
Devil Survivor 3 is an easy one. I'll say this, just because Devil Survivor would definitely also be mine. A game I don't ever want to see a sequel to, never make a sequel to Catherine. You can make a game set in the world of Catherine. I never want to see Catherine 2 ever in my entire life.
Catherine 2, where Vincent cheats on her again.
No. This time you get to play as one of the three girls, and then you get to choose how much would you like to fuck with Vincent. It's just like a torture simulator.
Oh, gosh. You know what? Being able to choose multiple girls, all I'm saying, the first thought that came to my mind was Catherine Warriors, and you can't take this idea from me now.
You're just like killing sheep. It's just like lemmings, but you're just killing all the sheep.
Just cutting through sheep as all the different girls in like Orlando or something. I need this now.
While getting told different drinking facts. You've just slayed 1,000 men. Here's a fact about bourbon you probably didn't know. Did you know Howie Mandel's favorite drink is a twisted nipple? Now you do.
Have you ever played Plague Inc?
Yes.
Just measure the just measure the friggin' the death count by landmarks and how much a certain alcohol has killed.
So, our next one is a bit of a comment. This one is by Zaid. Mostly just wanting to say, very excited that Rollback got announced for Ultimax before the game released. I know it's a lot of work, so I'm glad that it's finally coming, even if it's just summer. Dragonfly on Twitter says, hey, I'm very happy about most of the announcements from this month. Soul Hackers 2 hype. Question 1, though. Do you think Atlus West will reveal a limited edition for Soul Hackers 2 in the upcoming months? And question 2, can we stop overhyping these 25th anniversary videos because it's just getting ridiculous, like P5 port begging at that point? I think we can both agree with question 2, but I want to ask you, Ozzy, if you're making a collector's edition for the West, for Soul Hackers 2, what do you include with it? And let's just say, to be realistic, let's not go over 120. So, like, we're up there with, like, P5 and SMT5's collector's edition.
Okay, so we're getting some collectible playing cards.
Oh my god! They're
gonna give us. They're not gonna give us a plastic gun, but they're gonna give us a tote bag with the gun on it, as a picture. And then we're gonna get a little pin of the Ringo Jack Frost.
Not the actual like toy, just the pin.
We're just gonna get a pin. We're not getting the full model.
That's incredibly sad how realistic that sounds like it could happen. What about Steelbook? Seems like such an obvious one for me, just because I'm a sucker for it. I will say this, especially because we have a new guest artist working on the series. Please don't skip on the art book. Oh, especially because of the music. Please include an actual soundtrack. Bonus points if
honestly,
you did the full soundtrack.
Honestly, if you just give me a collector's edition on par with SMT5's, I am totally fine with that, because I actually did really like that one.
I loved that. I loved that, but I'm gonna be real. I don't need another bag. I could do without.
No, I don't need another bag. Give me the soundtrack. Give me the art book. And I'm not throwing a plush. and then I'll literally be indebted to you forever.
Yeah, like honestly,
that's not happening.
I think
but...
for 120, if you did a nice box, you include the Ringho plush, the 3-disc soundtrack that Japan gets, and an art book. I think that's more than enough.
Oh yeah, 100%.
All right. Next question is by Ultimax Ibuki Simp, who says, "I think the Persona 25th anniversary has been good." Has been good for me so far. I'm not upset like everyone else. Plus, there's like 4 more things coming, so I can wait. Fairy says, this was part of an interview with the devs. Do you think that the game is going to have demon co-op systems with all-out attacks based on it? Yeah, that's kind of going back to what we said of instead of all of your party members attacking, it's just going to be like that. Oh, Maka Tensei brings up a great point. This would never happen because vinyls are very expensive. But if they did a vinyl collector's edition for Soul Hackers, that would be very on brand for the retro aesthetic.
Yeah.
No, you know what they need to include?
Put it on cassette. Put it on cassette.
They need to include cutlery, going back to it because of the fucking burger picture. Including a fork and a knife for all burger meals going forward.
Oh, man.
Oh, my God.
See, now, this is why you get paid the big bucks, Spencer.
Yeah, the $0. But,
exactly.
Zeron says, do you think Atlus West should try and copy Japan and have its own Western festival, or like in America, British, Canadian, German cities, such like that, for the Persona 5 festival?
They don't have the resources for that. They're just a publisher.
See, what sucks is they could. But, unfortunately, it's like, planning a public event on a normal timeline for them, I think, is doable, but hard. I think because of everything still being in lockdown for the most part, I think it's just like, they don't even view it as, like, worth it.
You know, in an ideal world, find, like, some convention going on, and they'll be like, we're gonna do a mini festival here at this convention while it's going on. Visit while we do this, we'll do cool stuff. That'd be cool. I doubt that'll happen, but Atlus West, if you're listening, please?
Alright, I'm going to give you a bit of an easier one. Icelandic Apple on Discord says, do you like ice cream? And I'll make it harder. What is an underrated flavor of ice cream? Doesn't have to be your favorite, but what's one that you're like, dude, no one talks about this flavor of ice cream?
Okay, no one talking about it is different. In terms of underrated in general, though, apparently a shocking amount of people think that mint chocolate chip is awful, and those are bad people. Those are bad people.
Get the Shamrock Shakes out, everybody. Get your Shamrock Shakes.
Get your Shamrock Shake. Those are bad people, though. Don't listen to them. Mint chocolate chip is the GOAT. That's peak. Otherwise, I don't know. I'm very simple with a lot of my ice cream. That's like the craziest I normally go. And anything with Oreos, though, just give it to me. I don't think that's underrated, but I want it. Now I want Oreo ice cream.
You all may have heard of this little indie food called Oreos.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Complete random note. My friend messaged me. Apparently they're bringing back Oreo Cakesters. Which...
Wait, Oreo Cakesters went away?
They went away for like 10 years, I think.
I guess my stash just never ran out.
Oh, gosh.
Dude,
yeah,
this is the duality of man. Bunny Barbarian, mint chocolate chip is the GOAT. Coogan immediately after, mint chocolate chip is trash.
Man. All I'm saying, people who say that mint only belongs in toothpaste, you're missing out. You don't understand. Go to a Steak and Shake sometime.
I bet Ozzy just puts toothpaste on his tongue just to remember mint chocolate.
Just to feel something.
I'm going to pull a real out of left field one, because I had to explain this to someone. I was watching Free Guy, because it just got added to Disney+. Not a good movie, not a bad movie. Ryan Reynolds definitely saves that entire plot. Any streamer who's in that, by the way, should never be allowed to act ever again. It was very bad. But,
yeah.
Fun to watch on Disney+. But one thing that I did take away from it that I thought was interesting was there's a scene where Ryan Reynolds like, oh, I love bubblegum ice cream. And I told someone I was watching it with, I was like, I love bubblegum ice cream. I think bubblegum ice cream is like such an underrated, like, great ice cream flavor, but like no one talks about it. I really, really love bubblegum.
I've never had that, but that actually does sound kind of good.
So like the half
it might be a little too sweet
is like,
for
you know,
me,
like when you're eating cookie dough and there's pieces of cookie dough in the flavoring. Bubblegum does that, where there's pieces of bubblegum you get while you're eating the bubblegum. It's a very weird.
That's kind of awesome.
Yeah.
Well, because that's like just a better handled version of like what they do with like the ice cream trucks, where they just throw in a gumball and then you bite off SpongeBob's head or something, or Sonic.
It's always Sonic. It's always Sonic's
Yeah.
terrible eyeballs.
Yeah.
Spooky says, "Do you think that Soul Hackers 2 will get a demo?" I believe that we will. Asterisk only in Japan, but I think they would be smart to release a demo for this because they're bringing back this new series.
I can kind of see. I think it's more of a 50-50 for me. I would really, really like them to. It would be nice if it was worldwide. Atlus, you know that you can release demos in the West, right? But... And I can see them going without it. I would prefer if they didn't, but I can see it.
Now, here's a really hard question. I don't know if you saw, I posted yesterday. I was leaking some promotional materials. Talmy Certified Girl Boss on the Discord says, "Will you drown in Ringo Baja Blast?"
Oh.
Now, this is mostly just a long-term way for me to say this.
Mm-hmm.
Ozzy, I don't think I've ever asked you, what are your thoughts? What's the Aussie review of the Taco Bell exclusive Baja Blast flavored Mountain Dew?
You know, I feel like this somehow might be a shock to you. I rarely go to Taco Bell.
That does not mean you have not had Baja Blast. We're not talking about Taco Bell.
No, it does not mean that. It does not mean that. So I mostly bring that up because my experience with the Baja Blast is very limited. I don't remember it super well.
I appreciate
but from what I remember,
to it as the Baja Blast.
The Baja Blast. It's the Baja Blast experience. You know, don't mince my words. But I remember that it was above average. I like it. I'm not like diehard on it, but I remember it being solid. Okay, I did get the we talked about it briefly, I believe. I did finally get one of the what was it, like the mac and cheese like special like burrito or whatever. I forget what it was that you were talking about.
Mac and cheese burrito. The last like fast food mac and cheese thing I remember is the really good bad mac and cheese, like fried mac and cheese things from Burger King. That was like forever ago.
Oh gosh, I don't remember what it was. Something you were telling me about from Taco Bell that you were saying was like fantastic. That was like a limited time thing.
The like double steak grilled cheese thing.
That's what grilled cheese. Yeah, yes. I had that right before it went, and that was great. That was fantastic. That was my last Taco Bell experience.
One day, I want like a documentary about how they actually made Baja Blast, because it is one of those weird drinks. And it is disgusting how it, for some reason, legitimately does taste better with Taco Bell. Like, you can't eat Baja Blast with like a large pizza.
Yeah, no, it's just not the same. You have to go in for the experience.
See, if anyone out there wants to real Mountain Dew lore heads out there, there's actually a couple removed Taco Bell exclusive drinks out there. There is a drink I liked more than Baja Blast, but they got rid of it, unfortunately. It was called Mountain Dew Sangria Blast. And it was like a strawberry sangria Mountain Dew. It was sex on the beach. It was insanely good. It was really... And then, of course, they got rid of it because all Mountain Dew flavors fade into obscurity. But never forget, I think up there, the only one that's more memed on, or not more memed on, but as memed on, even though it hasn't been a relative drink in like 10 years, there was one that they made for The Dark Knight. Do you remember this one?
Vaguely. I don't think I ever had it.
What would you name Batman-themed Mountain Dew?
Oh, gosh. I don't even want to know. If the fact that they have a pun about it actually scares me now.
No joke. It is called Bat Dew. So get yourself a 12-pack of Bat Dew with the boys. And if I remember, it was like a dark purple drink. Like, it might have been the original lean. It may have been actual lean.
Oh, no. It is, Spencer, do we have to bring this back? Like, we're gonna... This podcast is gonna be the next Rick and Morty Szechuan sauce. We're gonna get them to bring back the Bat Dew for the Batman.
They have tried. Let me tell you, there is movements. There are people dedicated to bringing Bat Dew back. So...
Awesome.
The greater men have tried and failed. I will leave the Mountain Dew wars for another. I'm not dying on that hill. So our
That Mountain Dew Wars just brought me back to Dub the Dew, and that's a different kind of war.
the Dew. Oh my god! I mean, like, can you imagine being mad that like your Mountain Dew flavor never got made because some fucking internet people picked the wrong
4chan people. Oh man, yeah, guys, if you don't. Oh wow, that was 10 years ago now, wasn't it? That's horrifying. Yeah, guys, if you don't know about Dub the Dew, do yourself a little Google search. It's beautiful.
God, I forgot about the Mountain Dew 2016 elections. God.
Uh-huh.
All right. Our last couple of questions are all from YouTube. First one comes by Super Mandible Claw. Will Western Persona fans ever not feel disappointed? I thought you might appreciate that.
I think I'm more the exception to the rule, apparently, because my answer is no. I'm fine. I'm a much more patient person than most people. So, like, I don't care. I'm satisfied with what we already have.
Ozzy, don't worry.
That's like...
Ozzy, don't worry. We've seen your upload rate. We know you're a very patient man.
Oh my gosh. I'm the one rushing myself with those. No, but, like... Honestly, we kind of mentioned it before, but there are people, like, freaking out of, like, why aren't we getting more news? Where's Atlus? Why? I'm like, there are bigger things going on in the world right now. Like, I get it, but there are so many games releasing right now. Atlus is not the only company in the world. I love Atlus. They're like the one that like is perpetually on my mind, but there's bigger fish there's bigger fish in the sea and bigger fish to fry.
That is very true.
Just be patient, people. It's fine.
Project says, why does Atlus hate our guts? They don't hate your guts. They're just bad at making you love their guts sometimes. That's what I would say. They don't hate you. They're just bad at making you love them.
They're trying to win you over, but like, you know. On one hand, they'll put like a very nice platter in front of your plate, and you're like, oh, thank you. Like, I didn't even expect to get something this nice. And then right next to it, they put a side dish that's way worse and twice as expensive.
So, this isn't a question I got to ask, but Killamo is bringing up an interesting point. What is the crossover, do you think, between Souls fans and Persona fans? It's gotta be like
maybe
over
it'll
25.
be Soul Hacker.
It's gotta be like... I will tell you this. I was resisting making Souls jokes memes very hard. Because I'm like, does this count as a Souls game? It's got Soul in the title.
Souls Hacker.
The Atlus Soul duology. Soul Hackers, and Demon Souls 1.
Oh gosh, I feel like an Atlus like Souls type game is inevitable. I just want to point that out. That's happening.
Dimiker, thank you for the super chat, but I have to ask now. Has Minecraft done official collaborations before? Because the only thing I can ever think of is Lego.
Oh, they've done tons. Like,
really?
Especially if you look at the I think it's called Bedrock Edition, which I think is inferior, even though it has a ton of stuff. They have like really weirdly intricate collaborations they've done with like Sonic,
no, dude, you're right.
and like Ben 10.
I just didn't even think of the DLC as collaborations. Oh yeah, Stranger Things, Adventure Time,
yeah,
Sonic the
Hedgehog, they've done insane collabs for Minecraft that I'm like,
Star Wars,
how is
Street Fighter? Oh my, yeah, dude, all over. Frozen 2, Halo, Ratchet and Clank, Steven fucking Universe. Yeah, it's all over. Okay, I'm gonna be real. Soul Hackers is definitely not big enough to ever be DLC for Minecraft, but
I'm shocked that Persona.
Yeah, Persona does seem like that could have gotten it.
Like they've done Sonic. I'm gonna say this straight up. Actually, if P5 does not eventually get a collab with Minecraft, P6 will. I think that's actually just straight up a guarantee if it's family friendly enough. Oh yes. This is my claim that I'm staking my life on.
Jesus, dude, they did so many. They're still doing. I forget though. Yeah, like the Minecraft DLC thing is intensive.
They did an in-depth Ben 10 collab in 2021.
Everyone loves Ben 10, I guess.
I like Ben 10, but I don't know who loves Ben 10 in 2021.
Did they make a Minecraft version of the world's best Ben 10 scene where Kevin compares women to cars?
His car.
I had to what was it? That sound was being used on TikTok recently, and I was finishing it before it was done. And Mary was like, "Why do you know this sound before?" I'm like, "Because I know what it's from." She's like, "Oh, what's it from?" It's like, "It's from Ben 10."
Yeah. Also to Kieran in the chat who says, "What if P6 isn't as popular as P5?" It will be.
Just
I don't know if it'll
into
be as good
existence.
as.
It could be bad, but I mean, in the same way that anything could be bad.
Yeah, it could be bad. It's not about bad. I think it'll be popular though.
Yeah,
It's
chance of
Persona
it,
6.
the chance of it being underwhelming is on. I would actually say, I don't know if you would agree with this. I'm in the camp that I think overall P4 is more popular than P5.
Within the deeper community, I'd say so. Overall, definitely not.
Well,
But I feel
I'm
like
thinking in terms of how long it lasted, how long it's been relevant,
yeah.
the merchandise, the anime, multiple animes, the shows, the books, the spin-off, like every
it's had more time.
Even that, like every attempt Persona 5 has had to expand outside of its original game that's not Royal or Strikers has been a financial failure.
I mean, I guess. Well, you also have to note that one of your examples here has to be Persona Q2, which that's not a fault of Persona Q2. That's a fault of the 3DS and 2019.
And yeah, there's a lot for that. Also, Demicro, you might have been on that stream where we talked about this last night on Mac's stream. Mac is playing through 13 Sentinels for the first time. 13 Sentinels crossover with Lego. I will unironically once again say that would be very funny.
That would be amazing.
Because it would work, but it would be horrifying at the same time.
Oh gosh.
Just think of little Lego BJ.
Spencer, without saying too much about the plot, can I just get a scale model of the entire city, including the border?
Honestly, like, they could actually do some, like, cool stuff, but 13 Sentinels fucking would never, ever get enough hype.
No.
Oh, I will say this, though, because I don't know if anyone out there is a Lego fan or a Horizon fan. The Lego Horizon set looks amazing.
Oh, I didn't even see that.
Yeah, do you know the tall neck little dinosaur things that she climbs on?
Yeah.
It's one of those in Lego form. It's, like, huge.
Oh, cool. You know, I love the consistent mentioning of Lego in this stream. Like, that... That has unironically been my most hyped game of the year for Lego Star Wars, and I'm glad I'm kind of not alone.
Is it bad that I'm just imagining, like, your brain, like, you have, like, a little animal thing in the back of your brain of, like, your Leonardo DiCaprio for that meme of every time you hear the word Lego? You know,
yeah,
you perk up?
Unironically, just perpetually, that's me with P5. I see the P5 logo and I point. But yeah, this year in particular, I see any sliver of news about the new Lego Star Wars, and I'm watching it like a hawk. I have not stalked a game, like, news-wise, this hard since I think the Smash ballot in 2014 or 2015. Where it was just like the day the Smash ballot ended, I'm like, when's the news gonna drop? When's it gonna drop? And then it didn't until, like, 3 years later, something like that.
Isn't it really crazy to think, like, that every character who's not Goku that won that list got in the game?
No, Shrek's not there.
Shrek was not on that list. He's not top 5.
Maybe not top 5, but like I feel like Shrek and Superman were pretty up there.
Are you going to tell me Shrek and Superman got voted on higher more than King K. Rool, Sora, and... I'm
not saying higher than them. I can genuinely believe that Shrek got more votes than Bayonetta.
Okay,
I mean that with full
question.
sincerity.
Who got more votes, Shrek or the guy from Super Mario RPG?
Oh, probably Gino. No, it might be Shrek.
That's a depressing statement you've just said, sir.
I had to sit there and think about it, because I know Gino has his hardcore fans, but I'm like, those are definitely a cult following. It was a different era. That was like peak Shrek-ism. It was 2015.
Jesus. Well, we're going to wrap this up with one last question from Deep Weeb, who says, is it realistic to expect Persona 6 to be announced, or is it just a pipe dream that's creating unnecessary hype for a year-long event?
I think that's an inevitability. That's like the one thing that I have very little doubt in my mind will get revealed. Like, it's time. It's P6 time. Like, Soul Hack, it's not coming out... It'll probably be like 2 years, if at best, from whenever it's announced. But Yeah, let Soul Hackers 2 release. It'll be awesome, and then they're gonna be like, okay, P6, have fun.
It's tough because right now makes the most sense to announce it for an anniversary. The problem is it's nowhere near close to being done, and I don't think announcing it helps them at all outside of just, Jesus, we need a win. Because
it's not. Remember, it's not about helping them at all. Like, I don't know if that's where Atlus's mind is all the time.
They're not
just
like
on
they're
their
not
own
like
track.
where they were when they had to announce P5. Like they were forced.
For all
to
we know,
announce
we're
P5.
getting for all we know, we're getting like 6 chairs.
Honestly, I would say this would make a better way to announce P6. Don't even have a teaser trailer.
Just give us the proper game trailer.
Nope, don't even do. There's not even. There's no way that's even close enough. Announce who's making P6. That would be a better compromise. Show us that it's the Royal team. Show us who's the artist who's going to be on it. Announce who the composer is going to be if it's not Megaro. Like, show us who's making it and have a little like Q&A about it. Because there's nothing that you're going to see that's like going to be like. Because again, this team's been working on it for 2 years.
Yeah. I do quickly want to note on kind of what you said there. I forget who mentioned it. They're like, what if P6 isn't as popular as P5? Again, it's P6, whatever. In terms of quality, the fact that it's being made by specifically the Royal team and the director for Royal, if you like Third Semester, usually I say temper your expectations. I feel like at least just keep your expectations in a form of hype.
Third Semester, the video game.
That, yeah. Please?
Also, you have to draw your line on the sand right now. What will come out first, P6 or ReFantasy?
P6.
You know what's funny? I actually might believe that, just because I'm like, if you're Studio Zero, you're in no rush. Like they've earned the ability to take as long as they want, and that's something different. Whereas, like, let's be honest, P6 will probably play like P4 and 5.
Yeah, it'll be really unfortunate if ReFantasy comes out and the game somehow sucks. No one's sitting here like, well, there are people waiting, but like, it's literally it's okay, Rocky, take your time of games. Just let ReFantasy do its thing. Whenever it comes, hopefully it'll be worth the wait.
Watch, like, it takes so long and ends up releasing the same year as Elder Scrolls 6. That's how long it takes.
Oh gosh, I don't even think that year's coming. Because ReFantasy could be another like 13 Sentinels thing where it's kind of left in that like development hell, and then we finally get it and it comes out and it friggin' blows us away in some form or another. Like, who knows? Maybe whatever they've been doing over there, I hope it's been working out fine. I hope they're having fun.
So, we're going to wrap this up. We have one last super chat because Demi Crow is financially not doing well, but I appreciate the support nonetheless. And this is a fantastic question that honestly might be its own April Fool's episode of us plotting this out. 13 Sentinels gets a porn parody, like the Persona 4 one with Parafello. I'm going to be real. The setup and the characters and the cast of 13 Sentinels would make for an amazing porno.
It would be so easy to write.
It would be horrifying, but fantastic.
Well, it has to be. It has to be.
Also,
like, at
let's
least
be honest.
partly Okino
VJ is just the exact same design, but he has a vibrator. Like, that's the only difference. VJ is just the same design, but just someone duct taped a vibrator to him, and that's it.
You know, I think it's a good place to wrap up this.
Okay, hear me out. Instead of activating their giant robots, when they do their little start sign on their face, that's where their clothes disappear. That's like their reverse magical... Oh my god, I don't even know if I want to try and read this. 13 semen... I know what you meant to say, but it wrote as seminals.
Oh, I like that.
13 seminals.
Well, you spelled it wrong. Okay, I don't.
Now,
all I can hope for is give me one of those like porn parodies where the writers actually like put way too much thought into the plot. Give me like something on the narrative depth of 13 Sentinels, but they know what they're doing.
I see. I'm imagining this. Like, I don't know how no one's brought this up for the title. Like, it's obviously going to be 13 semen somethingals or whatever. Like, 13... Like, no, it's 13 testicles, I guess, rimmels. It's 13 testicles, Aegis rim job. That's the name. Like, rent it, put it right there. I'll cash my checks. The whole script's written in my head, guys. Like, we're ready to go.
I don't like that it's an odd number. Goto, what happened?
I'll let you pick. It's either a guy has 3 or a girl has 1. I'm not just a high school girl.
No!
I'm a high school girl with an odd number of testicles.
Oh no! Welcome to the Shin Megami Tensei podcast, the Shin Megami Tensei Network podcast.
Thanks
awesome.
for listening to this dumpster fire of an episode for 90 minutes. Ozzy, where can people find you in all of your videos?
So you can find me on Pornhub at the 13th.
What if you uploaded your beta videos instead of to Patreon? You just put it on Pornhub and see if anyone finds it.
You know, all I'm saying, no one has checked. You can't prove that that's not the case already.
Pornhub.com/Ozziak is still active.
Exactly. Anyways, yeah, you can find me on YouTube at the exact same name as this one, Oziak. Have fun spelling it if you don't know already, though I think it's in the title of this anyway, so probably just click on that. On Twitter, you can find me at Revived Oziak, where I can spam you about how you were stupid for expecting a game. I'm not that mean usually, I think.
Alright, and as is tradition, we'll tease something. We're not going to be mean about the P1 video. What will be your next video after P1? Do you think it'll be something Ultimax related, or will it be something before Ultimax?
So originally the plan was not Ultimax. I think now I'm leaning towards it's not going to be like a full-fledged review, I don't think, but something Ultimax will be coming. After that, this is something I'm actually excited about that is very different. I have a video planned where it is another Smash Ultimate video that is just me going over every character and stage and restructuring the unlock system of Ultimate to be more like Melee and Brawl.
Tripping?
So I'm just gonna...
No tripping? Will there be tripping?
Oh, you better believe it. No, but literally, it's just gonna be like coming up with really cool and creative like unlocks for Ultimate as those in that style. Since like, I appreciate that they did add like a lot of unlocks for Ultimate, but it was very like potato chippy. It was just like, here's a character, here's a character, here's a character. Well, I liked in those old games, it was like you had to do cool little specific things and like explore every crevice of the game in order to find all these cool little characters. So I think that'll be fun to make.
All right. That actually does sound like a good idea. Well, everybody, thank you.
It'll probably get like 5,000 views.
Hey, 50,000. Depends on the amount of capitals you put in the text for everything, though.
That's true.
Well, everybody, you can find all of our links in the comments below, but if you're listening to this audio only, thank you so much for listening, or if you watch this live, I appreciate everyone hanging out here and talking about porn parodies and Mountain Dew with us for so long, and can't forget Legos. Lego, porn, and Mountain Dew, the holy trinity of the SMTN podcast. But,
oh boy, this is why we watch.
Yeah, if you would like to keep that unholy trinity going, please consider subscribing. Really appreciate all the support to both the channels and everything. If you want, you can listen to the podcast on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you find podcasts. You can join the Facebook group, find us on Twitter at SMT Network, Discord, all the links below. And if you'd like to help support this dumpster fire, like all of our wonderful, awesome patrons, you can go to patreon.com/SMTN, where you can be a $1 and up member, get the show early, have exclusive benefits, get a cool pat on your back, and be able to talk to us there. Or if you would like to have me say your name at the end of every episode, donating $5 or more a month, just like Jagangus, Cross Ren, Demicrow, Goro Casero, Jazzy Jefferson, K-Horse, Patrick Dissart, Philip Meyer, C-Show, Solaire, Cameron Sharp, Robert Dogman Magadelis. It's been a day. Thank you all so much for being executive producers. Really, really means a lot. Really, really appreciates and helps with all the hosting fees and everything. But that's the show. We've got to go on with our lives. We've got to go back to doing important adult work and editing this show for everyone else to listen to. So, Ozzy, thank you for coming on and rambling with me for so long. And everyone, thanks for listening. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Did you almost say Patrick Swayze?
Patrick Swayze. No, actually, I almost